Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm here back to the GR Yaris and I wanted to make a slightly different video from the ones that I usually do driving on the racetrack. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome back to the GR Yaris. I thought today would be a good day to do a slightly different video than those that I usually do. And 9 months into my ownership and more than 5,000 kilometers driven, I wanted to give you some insights in how it is to live with this car, how it has been from an ownership experience, some of the things that I really like about it, and also some of the things that I would have liked Toyota to do better. So let's start from the modifications that I did, because I'm usually very careful on modifying stock cars, because I think, well, that manufacturers know best. Obviously there are always engineering compromises, and I mean, for my use, I drive the GR Yaris as a daily driver, but I don't really drive every day. So I use it to go shopping sometimes. I use it when I have to do something, like I have some to-dos around town, but I don't commute to work, so it's not like that I get into the car every morning, I start it and I just drive to work, so I don't do that. And then of course, as you've seen from my videos, I do enjoy some time on the racetrack, and that's one of the main things I do with the GR Yaris. So I drive to the Nürburgring more often, and I want to drive it there. And that was one of my first thoughts when I bought the car, right? I wanted something that was slightly cheaper than my Porsche to maintain, in terms of maintenance costs and parts costs and whatnot, and that was also cheaper in price. So if something, I mean, knock on wood, something happens, the financial losses would not be so big, and that I would still really enjoy to drive, because I needed to enjoy it, right? I was not gonna buy a car that I would not really enjoy driving. And I also wanted something that I didn't need to modify a lot. Generally I start with tires, but the GR Yaris already brought this wonderful Michelin PS4S, so I thought I would keep them. They are really nice tires, and I didn't need more, or at least at the time I thought I didn't need more. My first modification was actually on the brakes. I took the car for some spirited driving. I hadn't had it for long, maybe a week or two, and I managed to cook the brakes on the road. I mean, mind you, it was going downhill, driving, well, a bit hard, but I knew that if I would take the car like that to the racetrack, I would be in some problems, that it would not hold. So basically I ordered braided brake lines, and I had my dealership change them, and I changed the brake fluid to Motul 660 RBF. So those, and that was a very big change, because it really made the car function much better. I never had any problems with the brakes anymore, so that kind of settled it, right? And I've driven it like that a few times, both on Nürburgring or Hockenheim ring, and I didn't feel any brake issues. I mean, at some point, I think after 4 laps in a row in the Nürburgring, my pedal felt a bit softer than what it was, but I mean, it was nothing extraordinary. So it was really a nice experience. And then while driving on the racetrack, the problem that I had with the stock tires themselves was that they were on the stock wheels, and the stock BBS wheels are excellent, so they're really light for the size, but they're extremely expensive to replace. And I do drive hard-ish, and I didn't want to curb a wheel on a curbstone and then being slapped with I don't know, and it cost like 1,000 something euros each rim, so I didn't want that. So I got myself some cheap wheels, and I mean, since I was doing it right, I thought, okay, maybe I also get some Cup 2 tires, because I mean, as good as the PS4S are, I think for one lap it's very hard to tell the difference. I mean, I'm guessing like around the Nordschleife the PS4S's would be maybe 2-3 seconds slower, so it's really very little given the size of the track. But across multiple laps, the Cup 2 do hold quite a bit better. So that was like a modification, so tires and wheels, and then I thought, okay, well, this guy's not contributing, and then I thought, well, after driving it, I think it was like twice on the racetrack, I felt that the front was not as good as it used to be. Like, I think with the PS4S in the back, and I think they also have a bit stiffer sidewall than the PS4, the back would move around a bit more. So when I was coming into a turn and I would be hard on the brakes, it was much easier to have the car rotate with the PS4 than it was with this with this Cup 2. So I thought, okay, let's change them, and let's adjust the suspension. So I bought some. So they are eccentric bolts, and with the McPherson sturrets in the front, they allow you to put some more camber in. And that's basically the state the car is now. So I did some wheel alignment to get the back to rotate better in turn in, and it did work. I mean, I had even some moments where the back came out on me, and it was really fun on track. And in terms of dynamics, the car works very well. Of course, I want to go to the next step, so I'm basically waiting for a KW suspension, KW Club Sport suspension, so I can get a bit more, so I can get a bit better behavior. I think it's mainly on the quick parts of the track. Like the car, if you're going really quick and it's undulating, right, it loses quite a fair bit of composure. So you feel that the chassis is basically moving around too much and doesn't give you a lot of confidence in it. So that's a thing I want to do. Something I forgot, right? I was talking about brakes, and I went really quickly through 3 sets of the stock brake pads. They work really well, so I have no problem, like either warm or cold. They are really good pads, but they just don't last. Like I would drive maybe 15-16 laps of the Nordschleife of Nürburgring, and they were gone. There was nothing, really nothing left. I really had to change them. There was even one time that I was a bit afraid driving home because I had so little brake pad left that I was hoping that I would make it home safely, and I mean it all worked out, but really not a good experience. So I basically ended up getting some aftermarket brake pads. I chose Endless ME22, and yeah, I've done, I don't know, now close to 20 laps with them. They still look like new, so they definitely hold on much better than the stock pads. Brake bites increased, and I think what was the biggest difference is if you have a braking point where you are a bit longer on the brake. So let's say you are driving 200 plus and you are going down to maybe 80, 70. I feel that the pedal pressure, right, is kept for much longer, so that the pedal, even if they get really warm, the consistency is there, which with the stock brake pads at some point would get a bit more soft. And I think the only downside, right, which is, it's not a big of, at least for me, it's not a really big deal, is that when they are cold, and by cold I mean really, really cold, like you just switched on your car, right? The first time you brake, they really brake less, right? You need to apply quite a bit more pressure on the pedal for them to brake. But after this first time, then they just work like normal pads. Yeah, and I don't have that much more to say. I really enjoy this stretch of turns. So first, it beeps a lot. Like this car beeps for everything, right? The lane assist or lane keep assist or whatever it's called, it's all coming on. It's always coming on. Like every time you start the car, it restarts us on, and it keeps beeping. The freaking thing beeps for everything. Also, when you're driving sometimes inside of town, it detects some car parked or something like that, and it beeps like the brake warnings. When you stop the car and leave the door open, it keeps beeping like mad. So it's a bit annoying, the beeping, I have to confess. What more? I didn't like the position of the mirror, but I solved that, and I have a video on how or what did I do to solve it. So that's done. And the seat is fair, and I think the driving position is very nice. I had some issues getting into a position where my arms were at a good length and my feet could reach the pedals also in a comfortable manner, but now that I found it, I'm happy. I mean, yeah, you do sit a bit taller than on a normal sports car, but I think you can get used to it, and it's at least for me right now, it's not really a big of a deal. Definitely I would not spend 1,000 or 2,000 euros to change the seat and get that other seat approved and then lose usability of my rear seats. I mean, I just was on track last weekend and I had someone ride shotgun in the back seat, so that's possible. So yeah, I wouldn't want that. The traction is really good, and I'm driving with Cup 2s, right, and it's raining, so it's still mega. Yeah, another thing that's slightly annoying, I don't think the rev matching is very good. I think it's, if you go really quickly down a gear, it doesn't up the revs of the engine as quickly as it should to match the speed. So if I blip it manually, like manually, if I blip it with my feet, it works really well. But if I'm just relying on the rev matching, I have to be a bit slower when releasing the clutch, because otherwise it will just still give you a slight jerk. I mean, it's not a big deal, of course, but just something I noticed. Yeah, and I think that's about it. I mean, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment. I'm happy to answer. And well, see you on the next one. Bye.